Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are diving into Chapter 57 today, a dream that has no name.
And this is the one. This is the chapter that redefines sacrifice in this story. We thought we knew what it meant to be tough. We were wrong.
We were so wrong. This entire time, we've seen Zeff as this hard-nosed old chef who kicks Sanji around, a bitter old pirate who lost his leg in his glory. But Oda just peeled back the curtain, and what's behind it is one of the most hardcore things I've ever read.
It's a moment that will stay with you. And if you have a moment that stuck with you from One Piece, tell us what it is in the comments, or leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. It's the best way to make sure these discussions keep finding the people who need to hear them.
Exactly. Okay, let's get into it. We open 9 years in the past, on a cruise ship, and it is not having a good day.
Not at all. It's being raided by the Cook Pirates, led by their captain, Red Leg Zeff. And the name of the crew itself is telling. Not the Red Leg Pirates, not the Zeff Pirates, the Cook Pirates. His identity as a chef is literally the flag they fly under.
That's a great point. I didn't even catch that. And Zeff is not playing around. The cruise ship captain asks what they want, and Zeff doesn't even waste a breath on a monologue. He just tells his men to take everything. It's ruthlessly efficient. This isn't Buggy putting on a show or Kuro executing some 10-year master plan. This is a job.
It is. This isn't Arlong terrorizing a town for years. This is a professional smash and grab. They're in, they're out. They're there for provisions and treasure and nothing else. And we see Zeff's philosophy immediately.
We do. One of his own crewmates tries to sneak some food from the hall, and Zeff just stops him cold. He doesn't even look. He just knows. He's got that observation hockey pre-hockey. The dude has food sense.
The man tries to make an excuse, saying he was just hungry, and Zeff just punts him across the deck with a single vicious kick. He lays down the law. Never touch someone else's food.
That's the core of it all, isn't it? Even as a ruthless pirate plundering a ship, his identity as a chef comes first. The sanctity of food is the #1 rule. It's not about treasure, it's not about violence for its own sake, it's about the food. He is a pirate who cooks, not a cook who happens to be a pirate.
It establishes his entire code in a single action. He is a pirate, but he is a chef above all else. His loyalty is not to a pirate code, but to a culinary one. And in the middle of all this chaos, a little voice pipes up.
It's Sanji, a little apprentice cook, probably no older than 10, holding 2 kitchen knives and telling a whole crew of pirates to get out of his kitchen. This kid has more guts than the entire Marine Force we've met so far.
It gets beaten down instantly, of course. He's a child, but he doesn't surrender. Even after he's kicked to the ground, he's still defiant.
The fire is already there. That's our Sanji. He's staring down a whole pirate crew, bloody and bruised on the floor, and he's still talking trash. He says he can't die here, and you're waiting for him to say something like, I have to protect this ship, or I have to get revenge. But no, it's bigger than that.
He has a dream. He has to find the All Blue.
And the whole pirate crew just bursts out laughing. They mock it, call it a fairy tale, a myth that doesn't exist, even on the Grand Line. They treat it like a joke. And to be fair, from their perspective, it is. It's a kid spouting nonsense in the middle of a raid. But one person isn't laughing.
Zeff isn't laughing.
Not one bit. He's looking at this kid, and you can see the gears turning in Oda's drawing. He's been to the Grand Line. He knows what's out there. He's seen things these grunts can't even imagine. And more than that, he recognizes the look in Sanji's eyes. That's the look of someone who believes in something impossible.
It's the same quality Luffy has. The ability to speak a dream into existence with pure conviction. Most people would laugh at a rubber boy who wants to be Pirate King too. Zeff, having been to the Grand Line and back, recognizes that the most dangerous and powerful people in the world are the ones who hold on to those impossible dreams. He sees that this isn't just a child's fantasy. It's a driving purpose.
It's everything. You can almost see him thinking, I remember having a dream like that. Or maybe he still has it. The All Blue, it's the ultimate paradise for a chef. Of course Zeff would know about it. Of course he would respect it. But before that moment can really land, the world just falls apart. A storm rolls in, a massive one. Oda draws it as this biblical, world-ending tempest.
And a wave washes Sanji right off the deck, into the churning sea. He's gone in an instant. The professional pirates are panicking, trying to save their ship and their loot. It's chaos.
And Zeff, he doesn't even hesitate. He sees the kid go overboard, the kid who shares his dream, and something just clicks. In one motion, he delivers a kick that snaps the ship's mast in half, grabs the wreckage to use as a float, and dives in after Sanji.
Against all reason. He's the captain. His crew, his ship, his treasure are all right there. His entire life's work is on that boat, and his men are looking to him for orders. But he abandons it all to save the kid he met 5 minutes ago.
Because of the dream, it had to be. He heard that kid talk about the all blue and saw something worth saving, something more valuable than all the treasure on that ship. That kick, though, that's the red leg in his name. That wasn't a normal kick. He shattered a mast. That's monstrous strength. We saw Krieg's commanders struggle against the mast of the Bharati, and Zeff just one-shots a mast as a side effect of jumping into the ocean.
It speaks to the level of power a Grand Line veteran possesses. Even someone we meet this early in the East Blue is on a completely different level from the threats Luffy has faced so far. But even that strength is nothing against the ocean. Another, bigger wave comes and just annihilates both ships. Everything is gone.
And then, silence. Sanji wakes up a few days later on a barren rock in the middle of the ocean. The art here is incredible. It's just this tiny, jagged peak sticking out of an endless flat sea. The sense of isolation is crushing. He's not alone, though. Zeff is there with him.
Sanji's first instinct is still defiance. He sees Zeff as the enemy pirate and tries to rush him, blaming him for the deaths of all his nakama, the other cooks from the cruise ship.
But he's weak. He's a kid. Zeff just casually kicks him away and tells him the situation. The storm was 2 days ago. They're the only survivors. No ships, no crew, just the two of them and the sea.
The framing is so desolate. Just this tiny rock surrounded by endless ocean and the wreckage of their former lives. There's no food, no water, no hope of rescue. It's a classic survival horror setup.
It's a pure survival scenario. And this is where it gets really dark. Zeff reveals they do have some food, a little bit that washed ashore. He tosses a small sack to Sanji. It's barely the size of Sanji's torso.
And he keeps a much, much larger sack for himself. It's huge, easily 3 or 4 times the size of Sanji's bag.
I was so mad at Zeff in this moment. The first time I read this, I was furious. Sanji calls him out on it, and Zeff just says, "I'm bigger, I need more." It's so cold, so logical in its cruelty. It feels like the pirate is back, the hardened, selfish captain.
He's establishing the power dynamic. He's in control. He tells Sanji that with this food, they might last 5 days, but as chefs, they should be able to make it last longer.
He's turning it into a challenge of their identity. Not just can you survive, but can you prove you're a real chef? That's such a twisted, brilliant way to frame it. He's not giving Sanji hope. He's giving him a purpose, a professional challenge to focus on instead of the crushing despair of their situation. And then he delivers the final, chilling line. Without this food, they'd have to resort to cannibalism.
He says it so matter-of-factly. It's not a threat. It's a statement of fact. This is what survival looks like at the bitter end. It just hangs in the air. This is the absolute bottom. This is the worst case scenario for any human being, and Zeff just lays it on the table. He tells Sanji to go to the other side of the rock to watch for ships, and he'll do the same. Don't come to my side, he warns.
So they're separated. We see a montage of days passing. The sun beats down, rain falls. Sanji is alone, clutching his small bag of food, starving but determined. He's rationing every single piece, determined to make it last. He's going to out-survive this selfish pirate. He believes Zeff is this selfish monster on the other side of the island, feasting on his huge stash of food while he's starving. His anger is what's keeping him alive. He thinks about the all blue. He thinks about how Zeff's crew laughed at him, and it fuels him.
But then Oda shows us what Zeff is actually doing. We see him sitting there, looking out at the sea, looking just as gaunt and starved as Sanji. The days tick by. Eventually, Sanji's food runs out.
And this is the moment. This is the whole chapter. Zeff is on his side of the island, and we see his big bag. It's ripped open.
And it's not food. It's gold. It's all treasure. Jewels, crowns, goblets. All the meaningless wealth he plundered from the ship. There was never any food in his bag. Not a single crumb.
He gave all of it to Sanji. Every last scrap. He kept nothing for himself. He set up this entire scenario, painted himself as the villain just so Sanji would eat without guilt, without trying to share. He knew if he'd been honest, Sanji, being the kind of person he is, would have insisted on splitting it, and they both would have starved to death much faster.
He preserved not just Sanji's life, but his pride. He gave him an enemy to fight against so the boy wouldn't have to face the despair of his situation. He gave him the gift of righteous anger, a fuel that can burn long after hope has died. It is an act of profound psychological care, delivered in the cruelest-looking package imaginable.
It's unbelievable. He's not just a chef or a pirate, he's a brilliant self-sacrificing strategist. And then Zeff looks down at his own right leg, the red leg that made him a famous pirate, the leg he used to kick down a mast, the source of his entire identity in the world. He picks up a huge boulder.
Through gritted teeth, holding a piece of wood to bite down on, he says, "This is the end of Red Leg Zeff." The name of the chapter is A Dream That Has No Name. Sanji has a dream, the all blue, but Zeff, his old dream, his identity as a pirate, is about to die. He's giving it no name, no ceremony. It's just the end.
And he brings the rock down. He crushes his own leg. He severs it for food. He is going to eat his own leg to survive, all while a 10-year-old boy on the other side of the rock curses his name for being selfish.
Super. That is one of the most brutal, selfless, and powerful acts of sacrifice I have ever read in any story ever. It's not a heroic death in battle. It's a slow, agonizing, lonely decision to mutilate himself, to give a kid he barely knows a few more days of life.
He's literally devouring his past, his identity as a pirate, to invest in this child's future. He's sacrificing the very tool of his fame so that Sanji's dream of the all blue has a chance to live on. The treasure in the bag is worthless here. The only true treasure is life and the dream that gives that life meaning. Zeff traded his leg for Sanji's dream.
It completely recontextualizes everything. Every mean word, every kick at the Barati. It's all built on this foundation. Zeff isn't just a mentor. He's the man who sacrificed a part of himself, literally, so Sanji could live. He didn't lose his leg in a glorious battle on the Grand Line like I always assumed. He lost it at his weakest moment, in an act of his greatest strength.
He also explains his absolute rule about not wasting food. He knows, more than anyone, the true cost of a meal. He knows what it's like to stare into the abyss of starvation and have to make an impossible choice. For him, a plate of food isn't just sustenance. It's life. It's sacrifice. It's the memory of what he had to do on that rock.
He's literally devouring his past, his identity as a pirate, to invest in this child's future. He's sacrificing the very tool of his fame so that Sanji's dream of the all blue has a chance to live on. The treasure in the bag is worthless here. The only true treasure is life and the dream that gives that life meaning. Zeff traded his leg for Sanji's dream.
It completely recontextualizes everything. Every mean word, every kick at the Barati, it's all built on this foundation. Zeff isn't just a mentor. He's the man who sacrificed a part of himself, literally, so Sanji could live. He didn't lose his leg in a glorious battle on the Grand Line like I always assumed. He lost it at his weakest moment, in an act of his greatest strength.
It also explains his absolute rule about not wasting food. He knows more than anyone the true cost of a meal. He knows what it's like to stare into the abyss of starvation and have to make an impossible choice. For him, a plate of food isn't just sustenance. It's life. It's sacrifice. It's the memory of what he had to do on that rock.
He's literally devouring his past, his identity as a pirate, to invest in this child's future. He's sacrificing the very tool of his fame so that Sanji's dream of the all blue has a chance to live on. The treasure in the bag is worthless here. The only true treasure is life, and the dream that gives that life meaning. Zeff traded his leg for Sanji's dream.
It completely recontextualizes everything. Every mean word, every kick at the Barati. It's all built on this foundation. Zeff isn't just a mentor. He's the man who sacrificed a part of himself, literally, so Sanji could live. He didn't lose his leg in a glorious battle on the Grand Line like I always assumed. He lost it at his weakest moment, in an act of his greatest strength.
He also explains his absolute rule about not wasting food. He knows, more than anyone, the true cost of a meal. He knows what it's like to stare into the abyss of starvation and have to make an impossible choice. For him, a plate of food isn't just sustenance. It's life. It's sacrifice. It's the memory of what he had to do on that rock.
When Sanji wastes food, he's not just disrespecting a chef. He's spitting on the sacrifice Zeff made for him on that rock. He's spitting on Zeff's leg. Every time Zeff kicks him, he's using the peg leg that replaced the meal that kept him alive. The symbolism is just wow. Oda, you magnificent monster.
Exactly. Oda even includes an author's comment this week about the passing of the filmmaker Akira Kurosawa.
Oh, wow. I never read those back in the day. What did it say?
It was a simple message of condolence, but the timing feels so appropriate. Kurosawa's films, especially his samurai stories, are filled with themes of honor, duty, and quiet, immense sacrifice. A warrior giving up everything for a principle or for the next generation. Think of Seven Samurai, where they fight and die for farmers who can offer them nothing but simple meals. Zeff's act feels like it was pulled directly from that tradition. It's not loud or flashy. It's a quiet, horrific, and deeply honorable decision made alone on a rock with no one to witness it.
Man, that hits different. It gives it this whole other layer of weight. This isn't just a pirate backstory. This is a modern epic being written in front of our eyes, drawing from the greatest storytellers in history. This is why OP is the best. It's not just about a rubber boy punching bad guys. It's about this right here.
It really is. It's foundational. This chapter lays the groundwork for Sanji's entire moral compass. His kindness, his refusal to let anyone starve, even his enemies. It all comes from this singular, traumatic, and defining experience.
Whew, okay, my heart is pounding. Before we get into predictions, if you think Zeff's sacrifice is one of the greatest moments in the series, hit that like button. Let the algorithm know that real stories with real weight are what matter.
Let's see. Predictions for Chapter 58. I think we will stay in the flashback. There's no way Oda would cut away from this now.
Has to. We can't leave that rock yet. My first prediction, we're going to see the aftermath. We're going to see days pass. We're getting to the point where Sanji's food must be running out. He's going to get desperate. We'll see him rationing his food down to the last crumb, fighting off starvation, while Zeff is dealing with his choice on the other side of the island. It's going to be a quiet, painful chapter focusing on the slow descent into madness that starvation brings.
I agree. My first prediction is that we will see the moment Sanji's food runs out, and in his desperation, fueled by the belief that Zeff has a massive hoard of food, he's going to decide to attack Zeff to steal the big bag of food. He's going to go over to Zeff's side of the island with a rock in his hand, ready to kill the man who saved him, all because of Zeff's own brilliant, tragic deception.
Ooh, yes, that's got to be it. And that's when he'll discover the truth. He'll creep up on a sleeping or unconscious Zeff, go for the bag, and it'll still open, revealing the gold. And then he'll look at Zeff, who will be shockingly thin, emaciated, and he'll see Zeff's missing leg. That's the moment their real relationship begins. The moment the weight of what Zeff did crashes down on this 10-year-old kid.
not as pirate and victim, but as father and son.
My second prediction is that during their time on the rock, after the reveal, Zeff will begin to teach Sanji his cooking philosophy directly. It won't be in a kitchen, but in the most barren place imaginable. He'll explain why you never waste a single scrap, why a cook's hands are sacred and should never be used for fighting. The lessons that define Sanji for the rest of his life will be born from this shared trauma, spoken by a man who just ate his own leg.
That's good. It gives their bond a real starting point beyond just the sacrifice. My second prediction is about their rescue. I don't think it'll be a random ship. I think it'll be a cooking vessel or a passenger ship that desperately needs a chef. Maybe their own chef fell ill or died. Their salvation will come through the very identity they've been fighting to maintain on that rock. It'll bring it all full circle. They'll be rescued not because they're pirates or survivors, but because they're cooks.
I like that. It ties the theme together perfectly. My last prediction is that the chapter will end with a jump back to the present day at the Bharati. We'll leave the flashback at the moment of their rescue, seeing them as two starved skeletons. Then, bam, we're back in the present, and Sanji will be in the middle of a conflict, maybe with Jin or Krieg, and he will do something, a kick or a cooking technique, that Zeff taught him on that rock, showing us the direct link between that past sacrifice and the man he is today.
Oh, that's it. It'll be a kick and Zeff will be watching and he'll have a slight, almost imperceptible smile. And we, the readers, will now understand the true depth of that look. Man, I am not ready. This is going to be heavy. Join us next time as we see just how deep this story goes. For Inherited Dawn, I'm Franky.
And I'm Robin. Thank you for listening.